Hello, my friends. A good chodesh. Today we're learning Baba Basra Daf Samechei. We're going to start in Samech Dalad on base, the bottom line. So before we start, let's just recap. So we had the machlokes of Rabbi Akiva and Chachamim. Rabbi Akiva holds when a person sells, he sells in a generous way, and Chachamim hold when a person sells, he sells in a stingy way. Says the Gemara, Itma. We learned Rav Huna Omar Rav. Rav Huna in the name of Rav said, Samechei Mudalef, Alocha Kediver Chachamim. We pass like Chachamim that when a person sells, he sells a bare minimum. Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba Omar Shmuel, Rav Yirmiyah, the son of Abba, in the name of Shmuel, said, Alocha Rabbi Akiva, that a person sells, he sells in a large way. Omale Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba Rav Huna. So Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba asked Rav Huna, who said that Rav said Alochas like Chachamim, V'ozimim Sagin, many times, Amrita Kamei de Rav, I said in front of Rav, Ilchasa Rabbi Akiva. I said the halachas like Rabbi Akiva, V'lo Omar lo Belimidi. He didn't tell me anything. So how could you tell me that Rav himself holds like Chachamim? I told him that halachas like Rabbi Akiva, and he never said anything. Omalei, so he told him, Echi Tanisa, how did you learn? What does Rabbi Akiva say and what does Chachamim say? Omalei Ibcha Tanina. He said, oh, this is the girsa of his was the opposite in our Mishnah. That it's the opposite. Rabbi Akiva says what Chachamim say, and Chachamim say what Rabbi Akiva says. So he told him, Mishumachi lo yarmar lecha v'lo imidi. That's why I didn't argue, because you said the shit is opposite, and it comes out that Rabbi Akiva says like Chachamim, like our girsa in the Mishnah of Chachamim, and therefore Rav Paskins like Chachamim didn't say anything, because you said Rabbi Akiva's shitta like Chachamim, so therefore Rav never said anything. But if you'd say it correctly like it says it in our Mishnah, obviously Rav would tell you that halacha is not like that. Said the Gemara, Omalei Ravina l'Ravashi. Ravina told to Ravashi, Leima azdu l'tamayu. L'chayr, this machlokes of Rav Shmuel to paskin like Rabbi Akiva, that we said Rav paskins like Chachamim and Shmuel holds like Rabbi Akiva, it goes lefi another machlokes that Rav and Shmuel have. What's a machlokes? Omar of Nachman Omar Shmuel, Achim shecholku, two brothers, Reuven and Shimon, who got Yerusha from Yaakov, and they were living peacefully in this field. They had the field together, and then they decided to split up, each one half. And one took the half that's closer to Rishus Harabim, to the main pathway of the public, and one took the inner part of the field, or one took the bottom floor of the house, and one took the top floor of the house. So Shmuel said, Elohim lo derech zeh al zeh, meaning the inner one doesn't have a path. He has to buy the path from the outer one, and he can't go into his field without getting a path from him. And not, let's say, it was a bottom floor and an attic or second floor, so there was a ladder to get up to the second floor. He doesn't have a right to have a ladder. He has to buy it from the person from the brother who got the bottom floor. They could block each other's windows. If the water stream used to come into the field through the outer field, the inner field doesn't have a right to continue that. He has to buy that right from the outer field. So that Shmuel, Lefi his shitta, who paskind, like Rabbi Akiva, that the moicha, the ayin yafo moicha, and this brother who took the inner field or the attic is like he sold the bottom to his brother, and therefore he has to buy off him the way. Vizoruba, and Shmuel says, be careful, shalachas kvuas, and this is the halachas like this. The Rav Mayesh Lohim, and Rav said no. Rav argues, he said no, the one who took the inner field, the top floor, he has a right to put a ladder, he has a right to a path, etc. So he said this is the same machlokes we pass in like Rabbi Akiva like Chachamim, with the same machlokes of Rav Shmuel about the brothers who split. So he answered to him. So Rav Ashi answered to Ravina Tricha. No, really these machlokes are not exactly the same. We need to paskin that Shmuel paskin like Rabbi Akiva and Rav paskin like Chachamim, and to have the machlokes about the brothers, because there is a difference. They couldn't learn one from each other. Why is that? Yashmin and Bahi only about the brothers who split. Ba'ikam Rav, you think over there Rav said that the halacha is that the one who took the inner field has a right to come in without buying the way. Mishum da'amalei, he could tell his brother who took the outer field, I want to live in this field the same way like my father lived, and my father used to walk in this path to get to the inner part of the field, so I want to continue that. And that's why, because it's splitting a Yerusha, that's why he has a right in the path. But maybe by a house, where someone's buying a house, that's nothing to do with the parent, so maybe he won't hold like that. Telling more Tate, I'll bring you a raya that is a svara of that person who wants to live like his father. Continuation of the father will be the son. So the one in the inner field has a right, Lefirav, to get the way that the father used to go into the field. But in the case of the house, it's a whole different case. Aval Beho in the house, maybe he agrees to Shmuel that he has to buy the way. If you'd only say Aloha like Chachomim, Aloha like Rabbi Akiva, Behachkom Shmuel, you'd say there Shmuel said that Aloha is like Rabbi Akiva, that the one that you have to buy away. Abul Beho, in the case of Yerusha, maybe he's moided to Rab because he has a right, because it was his father's path and he wants to live like his father. That's why we need to tell you that no, that doesn't make a difference, and the choylek in both cases. Omale Rav Nachman, who said early on, he said, what did Rav Nachman say? In the name of Shmuel, that brothers who split, the din is that they don't have a way, they need to buy a way. So he told Ravuna, who said before, in the name of Rav, the halacha is like Chachomim. Ilchas HaKavosim or Ilchas HaKavosayich? Who is halacha, like us or like you? Omalei. So Rav Huna answered Rav Nachman, Ilchas HaKavosayich, the halacha is like you, the mikruv to the baba the Reish Galus, so the Shlichi Dainu, since you're relative, you're closer to Reish Galus, so where the best din was, and they used to pass in all the time, so you're more shkiach in the fact of way of living. You knew what the halacha is because you knew what the dayanim would paskin, and since you know what the dayanim paskin, that's how we go, and we paskin like you. So the more itma, we learn shnei batim dalifnim zeh. So someone had two properties. One was connected to Rosh Hashanah, and one was the inner property. So property A, that's on Rosh Hashanah, has an entrance straight to Rosh Hashanah, and property B, that's inner, and to get to Rosh Hashanah, you have to cross property A to get to Rosh Hashanah. Shneim b'mecher, if the person owned both, sold both to two separate people in a sale, or shneim b'matona, he gave two people, one the inner house, one the outer house of the present, eino derech zeh. So that's obvious for us that eino derech zeh, that they have to buy a passageway to get out to Rosh Hashanah. And kol shekain, if the case is chitzon b'matona, the one who's more outer is b'matona, klimi b'mecher, the one who's inner is in the present. So for sure, the one who's inner, who bought the house, has to buy from the one who got the present the way to go through, because the one who got the present, for sure, the guy gave him the present, he meant to give it to him, he gave it with generously, it was a present, so even more he gave it to him fully, without him needing to give the other guy a passageway. But furthermore, what's the din chitzon b'mecher, if the one who's closer to the outside is by sale, pnimi, the one who's inside, who needs a path to get outside, it was a present. So says the Gemara, the Bnei Yeshiva fault, ain't no in derech zeh, he needs to buy, doesn't have a right to have a way, he needs to buy his right of way. Says the Gemara, belohi, it's not true. Milo itnan, have we not learned into the Mishnah later on, b'med vorim amurim, we say over there. When do Rabbanon, in the case with over there, it's someone who sold, let me just look it up again, just not to confuse. Over there, someone who sold someone something in his property, and Chachomim say that the person who bought it has to buy a path. So when do Chachomim say that? When he said it to someone, if he gave him, let's say, a bor in your chotza, a bor in your sode, in such a case, together with the bor, since he's generous and he's giving him a present to bor, he means also to give him the passageway to get to the bor. Alma, what do we see from here? Man diyoiv matona, someone who gives a present, be'ayin yofa yoiv, he gives it in a generously way, even if he chachomim. Ochenami over here, man diyoiv matona, be'ayin yofa yoiv, and therefore the one who gives, since he gave the one who's inner, the one who's more inside the present, and therefore he gave it in a generously way, and he gave it to him in a way that he doesn't have to buy from the outer one the way, and he gets free the way to get to the Rosh Hashanah. Says the Mishnah, Moiches Abai, someone who sells, Reuven sells Shimon a house, and they didn't exactly say what the house including. Mocha is a delet in the house, the sale, the transaction includes the door, but not the key. Mocha is a machteshes. Machteshes is like a type of grinder to grind like the spices. So together with the sale includes a grinder kvuah, something that's connected to the ground. Avaloi samtaltel is not the one that's not connected to the ground. Mocha is it's durable. It's durable. They had like a rechaim that's to grind wheat, and the rechaim would sit on a frame made out of wood. So that frame out of wood is connected to the ground. That's part of the sale. Basically, anything that's connected is part of the sale. Anything that's movable is not part of the sale. Avaloi sakelis, not the kelis is like a thing where you put in one side it's big and the other side it's small, and you put in, and it's like that you want to pour in a bottle something, so you pour the small part on the bottom and you pour at the top and it goes into the bottle. So the keles, that's something movable, is not part of the sale. Below satano, below sarikaraim, 2 types of ovens that are movable, are not included in the sale. But Trevor Mishnah was man sha'omaloi, if he said in the sale, who I'm selling you the house, anything that's inside the house, says a Mishnah, Aryeh kulo mechurim, says a Mishnah, Samechel base, that even the things that we said are not included in the sale, if you said everything that's in the house, anything that's connected to the house, like all these things, are part of the sale. Says the Gemara, Leima Masisim de Loikaramea. Our Mishnah is not like Ramea. Why so? The Ramea, if it be Ramea Ha'omai, he says, Mocha is a Kerem, if Reuben sold Shimon a vineyard, Mocha Tashmishi Kerem. He sold him also what you need for the vineyard, the sticks to hold the vines straight. That's something that's metaltal, you could remove them. It's part of the sale. And we said that anything that's movable is not part of the sale. So the our Mishnah is not like Ramea. So the Gemara, no, we could say it fits in like our Mishnah. Hosom over there by the vineyard kvia. It's something that very good you can move it, but it's something that you always need in a vineyard. You need these sticks to hold the vineyard, to hold the grapes, to hold the grape tree, and therefore it's part of the vineyard. Hochab over here, like kvia, it's something that's not something that fixed you always need in the house. Says the Gemara, that's over. Mafteach, a key, dumya de delis. It says a key similar to a door. Now, there's 2 types of keys. There's a key that you always lock the door and put in your pocket, and the key that you leave in the door. And it didn't make a difference between that. And we know a door is always fixed, and it says a key is different, ktoni. So it says, mafteach dumya de delis ktoni. It says a key similar to a door. Madeles, like a door, the kvia, it's always fixed. At mafteach kvia, even a key that's always fixed, meaning that you normally leave it in. Afilu achi, when you sell it, the house, you can take the key with you and you don't have to give it to the buyer. And so that's similar to the sticks that keep the grapes straight. Even that's metaltalim, but it's fixed. And we could see in the Mishnah that's not part of the sale. And Ramea said that it is part of the sale. So the truth is, Masisim de Loik Ramea, our Mishnah does not fit in like Ramea. Says the Gemara, Tonu Rabbanon, Amoiches Abai, someone who sells a house, Mocha Sadeles, including in the sale is a door, there's a nagar. Nagar is like the latch that goes into the wall from the door. There's a manu, the lock that's fixed into the door. Avaloy is a mafteach, but not the key. Mocha is a machteshes a chakuka. So machteshes, as we said in the Mishnah, means like something. It's like a big cup or something made out of stone, and you put in there like spices, and then you grind them. So there is one. Let's say you have a stone in your house, and you dig in that stone a hole, and then you have a machteshes. So that type of the Brisa says that type of machteshes that's fixed into the house already from when you make it. That's part of the sale. But if you have this machteshes that was disconnected and then he connected it to the house, that's not part of the sale. And that's not like our Mishnah, because our Mishnah said that the machteshes that's kvuah, it's part of the sale. And we're going to see our Mishnah's Rabbi Eliezer, we're going to see in a second. Mocha is drubal, the thing that holds the rechaim to the ground, the wooden frame. Avaloy is a keles, not the keles as we explained in the Mishnah. Loy is satanu, v'loy is akiraim. Part of the sale is not the different types of ovens. Loy is a rechaim, and not the grinder to grind the wheat. Rabbi Eliezer, and our Mishnah is going like Rabbi Eliezer, kol ha-mechuber lakarka, anything that's connected to the ground, Aryeh karka, and it's part of the fill. And therefore, if you have a machteshes that's connected to the ground, even though that at the beginning it wasn't connected to the ground, since now it's connected to the ground, that's part of the sale of the house. Says the Brisa, Bisman she'omaloi, if he said in the sale, who I'm selling you the house, anything that's in the house, all of it is sold. Says the Brisa, doesn't matter if he said the house, or he said the house and everything that's in it. The two types of pits of water, as we learned earlier, ones that are built with walls, ones without walls, that's not part of the sale because that's not the house, that's a whole different use. And not the attic, because that's a whole different thing. Now the continuation of the Gemara is a whole new different sugya. I mean, it's connected obviously, but it's a long sugya, so I don't want to start. We'll leave it for next year. We should all be happy and gezoicha to see the geula akroiva b'me'era b'yameinu amen.